Okay, so we've given this a few hours to dry out, and with the help of my air blower, it speeded up the process, because again, this is just all-purpose joint compound, and to be able to work on top of it, it has to be completely dry, because it'll just come apart and you'll get scratches, whereas if you use the mud pie with the plaster of Paris mixed in with the joint compound, it'll still be wet, but it dries hard enough to work on top of it. But I'm not using that here for all these coats. So, so you want to make sure that the surface is completely dry and it's white. If it's gray, that means that there's water still in it, and to give it more time to dry out here. So with my 4-inch blade right here, I'm just going to shave away any of the high spots, so that when I skim, they won't get into my mud here. So the alternative to using this is to use a sanding pad, but a sanding pad will generate a lot more dust than this right here. So we'll come over here and just... Now, as you notice, I'm going like that with the blade. I'm not going the other way as to dig in. I mean, this, if you go that way, then you run the risk of gouging into your mud. Whereas if you drag it along the surface and there is something that is protruding, like a line or something, it'll just shave it down and it won't gouge in the surface here. So I'm just going to quickly just do this right here, and then down here, once up top, and then down below. Okay. So now when I check the middle out here, when I put my trowel up against it, it's basically flat. There isn't a gap there now, but the texture of the surface isn't flat. So this next skim will make this totally smooth. Now, if these two sockets weren't here, I wouldn't be using this for my second skim. I would be using my 16-inch trowel, but because we have these here, I can't really get in there, so this tool is a lot better. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to skim these areas in the middle first and make those flat, and then I'm going to work on the outsides. Now, for you at home, if you don't feel comfortable with doing these and then coming to these outsides immediately or right after skimming this, let the middle dry out so that when you do the outsides, if this edge happens to go back into the middle, it won't gouge it up. But if it does, then just let it dry and just go over it again with joint compound where it dug into. So, so I'm going to work on these first and then do the outsides and then the lower. So we're going to come over here and we're going to load up here again. Now I'm going to do this right, so I'm going to be using the back side of my trowel, so I definitely want to load up this side here with the mud. Now, see, that's way too much for just the middle, so I'll take away some there and take away some there. Okay, and then I have my 6-inch blade here, which I'll put in my back pocket here. So I'm going to take the trowel like that. It's loaded up onto the left-hand side, and I'm going to transfer this right here, and I'm going to skim up hard. Now I'm going to do it again. Okay, so that's the way it looks there, and that's the way it looks there. Now I'm going to do it one more time here. And I'm skimming hard there. So as you can see the areas in the middle where it's more gray. So that meant that there was more of an indentation there. But that final skim filled in that area. So that area is like totally smooth there. So I'm just going to take this and come down and work it just under the socket here and skim up hard. Now there's some lines and stuff in it like there, so I'll bring it back down and slowly skim up hard there. Okay, so that's flat there. I'm going to come back down here and go up with it there. I'm going to turn it around and it's going to press the mud up there, as you can see, and then come down like that, and then come up real fast with it. Now I'm going to get my 6-inch blade out here, and I'm going to reorganize the mud on this trowel here that's acting like a hawk. put it to that side there. Okay, now if you do just want to leave these to dry, then I would definitely take away these edges here. You see that right there. But if not, then you can leave them, because we're just going to come here. So that's going to take away those there. Okay, so now we're going to move to the out, or we know what we'll do here. We'll just take this and we'll fill in these areas here, right around the socket. That's one, and this is two right here. So don't worry if like you make a mess, because it's not going to matter. Right there, because we're going to skim over it again. So I'm going to reorganize this to the center. I'm going to kind of cheat it to the left a little bit, and then cheat it to like the right here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to just go up with it, and I'm going to start it off there, and as you can see, it transferred there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this blade onto that area right here where that line was, and go up hard with it. And do it again, and that's how that looks. Now there's an area here, so I'm going to use the right hand side of this just to feather that off there, and come down with it there, and I'll just bring it up one more time there, and that looks great there. So I'm going to come around here to this side, and I'll reorganize this to this side here, and I'll use my front hand. So I'll kind of cheat the mud over there and right there. Okay, and remember to keep this tip on this orange line badge. Okay, so it didn't all hit there. So I'm going to come back down here, put some mud right there. That's going to borrow some mud. You know what? I'm going to turn this around and cheat it to like the left there. And now I'm going to do the same thing, so it's going to fill in these areas that I didn't hit. Come down here, and borrow some mud, and go up with it. Now I'm going to use the left-hand side here to taper this side here. That reorganizes it. I clean off the trowel. And I'm going to do one last swipe up here. And there's a line right there, so I'm going to come down here and take it like that there. Okay, so it's not perfect at this point. It will need to be touched up, but for the most part, I brought the mud out even further on the left and right hand side of it, and we put a little bit more mud in the middle of it. So now we're going to work on doing this down here again. So when I rub my finger across this, I can definitely feel a mark or an indentation, so it definitely needs another coat. So I'm going to continue to use my 6-inch blade again. And again, there is a radiator or a heater that's going to go here, and it's going to probably come up to like right here. So we're just going to get 2 coats on this, and then he'll install that, and then we'll come back and sand it. So what we're going to do is load up here and do that circle. And I'm going to stop there because I just came into it with the trowel there. And I'll start it right over here again. And I'm going to need just a little bit more mud here. Corner here, I'm going to come down and do a left circle there. Okay, so we're going to come back over here now, and I'm going to press hard on my right hand side, and that's going to taper it off there. Okay, so there's that right there. So I'm going to come back over here and just go fast right into it. Okay, so that's not going to make a mess there. Now over here, I started it there, and I just went with the trowel here before, so I don't want to make a mess of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feather up the top first. Okay, and now I'm going to come into a half a circle and go kind of fast. It's going to take care of that bottom. I'm going to do the same thing here again. And there's a line up here, so I'll just take that away there. And now here, that borrow some mud there, bring it down, go fast with it. So when this dries, this will be perfectly smooth. You won't notice that edge where I cut into it there. So we're just going to let this dry out completely overnight, and then they'll be back to install the heater, and then we'll be back to do some touch-ups and sand it down, and then paint, and then prime and paint. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next clip.